Echoes, the story of Pink Floyd. In the smoky clubs of 1960s London, amid the rise of counterculture and psychedelic experimentation, a band emerged that would alter the soundscape of rock music forever. They weren't the loudest, nor the flashiest, but they were unlike anything anyone had ever heard. That band was Pink Floyd. The story begins in Cambridge, England. Syd Barrett, a charismatic young man with a penchant for surreal lyrics and sonic exploration, joined forces with Roger Waters, Richard Wright, and Nick Mason. The group had met while studying architecture at the Regent Street Polytechnic in London. With Barrett as the visionary frontman, the group, initially cycling through names like the T-Set, eventually settled on Pink Floyd, a homage to American bluesmen Pink Anderson and Floyd Council. From the beginning, Pink Floyd stood apart. In London's UFO Club, they weren't just playing music, they were crafting sensory experiences. Their early gigs were chaotic symphonies of swirling lights, echoing feedback, and Barrett's LSD-infused melodies. 1967's The Piper at the Gates of Dawn captured this spirit, a whimsical, haunting kaleidoscope of nursery rhymes, space voyages, and madness. But that madness soon became tragically real. As Barrett descended deeper into mental illness, exacerbated by heavy drug use, he became increasingly erratic. During live performances, he'd stand motionless, detune his guitar, or strum a single chord repeatedly. The band made the painful decision to bring in David Gilmour, an old Cambridge friend, to cover for him. Eventually, Barrett faded away, leaving a void and a legacy that would haunt Pink Floyd for decades. With Gilmour on board, Waters began to assert more creative control. The band shifted from the colourful whimsy of Barrett's songwriting to darker, more structured conceptual pieces. Albums like A Saucerful of Secrets and Meddle hinted at their evolving sound. But it was 1973's The Dark Side of the Moon that changed everything. Recorded at Abbey Road Studios with engineer Alan Parsons, Dark Side wasn't just an album, it was a philosophical odyssey. Themes of time, greed, death, and insanity were woven into a sonic tapestry that resonated with millions. Its innovative use of tape loops, synths, spoken word, and seamless transitions between tracks was revolutionary. Songs like Time, Us and Them, and The Great Gig in the Sky became cultural touchstones. It remained on the Billboard charts for an astounding 741 weeks. The album's success brought fame and pressure. Waters, increasingly seen as the band's leader, pushed for more concept-driven albums. Wish You Were Here, 1975, was a somber tribute to Syd Barrett and a critique of the music industry's cynicism. Then came Animals, 1977, a biting allegory inspired by George Orwell's Animal Farm, where humans were categorized as dogs, pigs, and sheep. The music was angrier, the lyrics sharper, and Waters' influence nearly total. The Wall, 1979, was Waters' magnum opus, and also the band's breaking point. The production was massive. The double album featured orchestral arrangements, sound effects, and groundbreaking narrative cohesion. Songs like Another Brick in the Wall became anthems of rebellion. The subsequent live shows were theatrical masterpieces, involving actual wall constructions on stage. But tensions within the band were boiling. Waters' control was near absolute. Richard Wright was fired during the recording, only to be rehired as a session musician for the tour. Gilmour and Mason felt increasingly sidelined. By the time the final cut, 1983, was released, credited almost entirely to Waters, it was clear Pink Floyd had fractured. Waters left the band in 1985, believing Pink Floyd should cease to exist without him. But Gilmour, Mason, and Wright disagreed. They resurrected Pink Floyd without Waters, releasing A Momentary Lapse of Reason, 1987, and The Division Bell, 1994. Though critics were divided, some felt these albums lacked Waters' lyrical depth, fans embraced the lush soundscapes and Gilmour's soaring guitar work. The Division Bell tour was a global spectacle, with state-of-the-art visuals, lasers, and crowds in the hundreds of thousands. The band proved they could carry the legacy forward, even if the philosophical bite of Waters' lyrics was missed by some. Then, in 2005, something miraculous happened. After decades of bitterness, all four classic members, Waters, Gilmour, Wright, and Mason, reunited for Live 8. They played a brief but emotional set, including Comfortably Numb and Wish You Were Here. It was the first time they had performed together since 1981, and, tragically, the last. Wright passed away in 2008. In 2014, Gilmour and Mason released The Endless River, a largely instrumental tribute to Wright, built from leftover sessions from The Division Bell. It was a final atmospheric farewell, a gentle, closing chapter. What made Pink Floyd endure was their refusal to be ordinary. While other bands chased hits, Floyd chased meaning. They transformed concerts into immersive experiences. They layered philosophy into rock. Their music wasn't just heard, it was felt. Roger Waters, the architect of the band's most ambitious narratives, was never afraid to expose human flaws: war, greed, fear, isolation. His lyrics were academic and emotional, biting yet poetic. David Gilmour, with his ethereal voice and lyrical guitar solos, brought warmth and melody to that intensity. Richard Wright, with his subtle keyboard textures, added depth and atmosphere. Nick Mason, the steady heartbeat, was the quiet force that kept it all together. Their art was never just about entertainment, it was exploration. In Echoes, they built sound collages that felt like deep-sea journeys. In Shine On You Crazy Diamond, they immortalized a fallen friend. In Comfortably Numb, they articulated emotional numbness with cinematic grandeur. Pink Floyd's influence stretches far beyond rock. They redefined what an album could be, encouraging artists to think in themes, not just singles. Their visuals, from the prism of Dark Side to the marching hammers of The Wall, became icons. Artists like Radiohead, Tool, and Steven Wilson owe parts of their DNA to Floyd. And perhaps no band has inspired such philosophical listening. Fans debate the meaning of The Wall, theorize over Dark Side's synchronization with The Wizard of Oz, and marvel at the sonic engineering behind Echoes. Pink Floyd didn't just make music, they made myths. Today, Pink Floyd's music continues to resonate with new generations. In a world of short attention spans, their long-form albums encourage deep listening. In an age of noise, their moments of silence and space feel sacred. Their story is one of creation and collapse, of genius and ego, of friendship and loss. It's the story of 4, sometimes 5, very different men who for a time created something transcendent. Pink Floyd wasn't just a band. They were an experience, a question, a mirror held up to the human condition. And even now, when the echoes of their music play through headphones or across starlit fields, we're reminded of their enduring message. All you touch and all you see is all your life will ever be.